Now, to circle back, the lamb-like will eventually speak as a dragon, and the dragon is civil. So how does a civil entity speak? Well, they speak through their legislation. They speak through their judicial SCOTUS.
How important is it for a president that his party controls Congress?
Well, obviously, it's important to have your party control Congress because that makes just life much more easier for you. It's easier to get legislation through because whoever controls the House and the Senate can put those bills up on the floor, get them to vote, get them more easily passed without having to compromise as much with the other side. But the Senate control is also very important for other things because the Senate confirms a lot of the political appointees, the political nominees. I'm talking about, for example, cabinet secretaries, ambassadors, as well as judges. We've seen that Joe Biden has used the fact that the Democrats were controlling the Senate to push through a record number of federal judges, more than 200 by now. So that is very important. If the Republicans take control of the Senate, they can block or heavily restrict the number of those political nominees that get confirmed by the Senate. And of course, when you're talking about judges, it's not just the federal ones. If there is a vacancy in the Supreme Court, whoever controls the Senate will have a big say in whether or not that seat gets filled and by which president.
The significance of a Republican Senate if, and I repeat, if Donald Trump is elected president, it means that they can confirm without any Democratic votes any appointment he makes to his cabinet, to the government, to the Supreme Court, should there be a vacancy. It's an enormous advantage to a president. And at this point, we haven't talked about it much, but in the House, although that hasn't been decided yet, the Republicans have flipped 3 Democratic seats. The Democrats haven't flipped a single Republican seat. So there is the possibility here of a complete united Republican government with Donald Trump as the president and with a Republican House and Senate, which means that in terms of appointments, in terms of immigration policy, economic policy, environmental policy, you name it, he could have a pretty blank check.
So what's the agenda? What is the agenda of Trump and Trump's administration?
States have been voting for. We're hearing that the Senate has gone to the Republicans. You know, that's all, and we're waiting for the House of Representatives.
Yes, we don't really have a good read on the House, though one would think since Republicans have won everything else, they'll probably win the House of Representatives as well. So they have the U.S. House, they have the U.S. Senate, they have the presidency, and they have a large majority on the U.S. Supreme Court. It is one-party rule, top to bottom.
Where do you think Donald Trump might start if that's the case?
I wouldn't presume to guess that. There will be loads of people around him. He's bringing in a very different type of staff aide than he had in the first term. They're much more radical. They're more extreme. And I think people will see very, very quickly that the second term of Donald Trump really isn't
his second term is definitely not going to be like his first. He's not bringing in like the Paula Whites and the Copelands necessarily. Take a listen. This is Vance in 2021.
The thing that we have to take away from the last 10 years is that we really need to be really ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. Going to actually really affect real change in the country, it will require us completely replacing the existing ruling class with another ruling class.
I think go down American institutions and make it possible for conservatives to actually govern and succeed in these institutions in a way where they're currently cut out. That's basically my strategy, is like deinstitutionalize the left, reinstitutionalize the right. It is very hard. It will require men and women of incredible courage, but I don't see another way out. I mean,
and who's Vance connected with besides being a Roman Catholic, he is connected with Project 2025.
Matt Walsh, welcome back. Matt Walsh, I think, is a very smart and a funny guy. Just put up on Twitter. Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, actually Project 2025 is the agenda. That's from Matt Walsh. Fabulous. I'm going to have to, Grace, if we can grab that.
Okay. We've confirmed news that Senator Vance is the vice presidential running mate. You will see a broad smile on my face because you may know that we're good friends. I will offer two comments about that. The first is the entire list of names considered are great men and women, truly, all of them friends of Heritage. There, among them, though, was someone that privately we were really rooting for, and he's just been named the running mate. Why were we rooting for him? Not even because of politics and policy, but because of who.
For 50 years of incredible work on conservative policy, and I want to thank especially Kevin Roberts and all of the.
What we're doing here is building not just for 2025, Steve, but for the next century in the United States. And that's why MSNBC and that history professor have lost their ever-loving minds, because they've never seen the political right be this organized, this focused, this rational about taking power and actually using it appropriately as the Constitution says.
So I don't want you to miss it. Roberts is from Heritage. Heritage is Project 2025. And you need to see the connection of Vance, VP, with Roberts over Project 25 and this Christian nationalist, and every one of these men who were involved in the writing of the policies of Project 2025. And they're all of the Roman Catholic Church papacy faith. And you need to see that the United States is intricately involved. Now, the sea beast, the papacy, the Roman Catholic Church, has 3 stages. The first stage, as I mentioned earlier, is Revelation 12. They are seen in the pagan Rome, that dragon who sought the life through King Herod's civil. It was pagan Rome. Now, the second stage is Revelation 13. And you see the heads, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece had 4 heads. Then you had pagan Rome, and then papal Rome, of which the little horn came out from pagan Rome and took out 3. Check history. These are facts. Now, the third and final stage of Rome is the healing of the wound that she received after the prophetic 1260 years. And Bible symbols is a church. However, the apostate church you can see in Revelation 17 into 18 is the apostate church. She is Mystery Babylon the Great. She is the mother of harlots. And she is riding the 7-headed beast. Again, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, pagan Rome, papal Rome, which was wounded. Then you have the United States as a lamb, United States as a dragon. The beast was and is not and is the 8th, which is of the 7th, the dragon.